Alright everyone, welcome back to another Top 10 Commander video. We're getting very close to pretty much the end, where I do a top 10 video for each color and color combination. Can't really do 4 colors for obvious reasons, there's not enough cards, but for 5 there are plenty. So today's video I'm going to give you my top 10 of the best 5 color cards in the Commander format, and to clarify, I'm including cards that have that color identity, so it could be a colorless card with an activated ability of all 5 colors, making its color identity for Commander essentially 5 colors. There are just a lot of cards that are like that, including this one, number 10, Gengatha the Wellspring. Probably the best thing to come from Ikoria. If you didn't really like the set that much, it at least introduced something that was relatively unique, and that is the companion mechanic. So you have your commander, but if you meet a certain condition, you can play this card. So Gengatha's condition is that you can't have a card with more than one of the same mana symbol, which is actually a lot harder than it sounds. There are a lot of good cards that have 2 of the same mana symbols, so you have to pretty much exclude them if you want to have Gengatha as a companion. Gengatha taps for 1 of each color, which just saves a headache altogether in these 5 color decks, because that by itself can pay for so many cards. Really just on here because I love the companion mechanic. And then number 9 we have the first Sliver. Not going to be the last one on this list either. Cascade is such a fun ability. I think if we had to rank abilities in terms of how fun they are, Cascade would be up there. It's always fun when you get to cast something for free. It's even more fun when it's randomized and you don't even know what it's going to be. The first Sliver, similar to how Slivers typically are, will grant all of your Slivers Cascade. That gets out of hand pretty quickly. It itself has Cascade, so you're guaranteed to get something whenever you cast it. It's also a decent choice if you're looking for a food chain commander, because anytime you can just replay your creatures, anytime you can get infinite mana and replay your commander, you have that Cascade trigger, which pretty much means you're going to play out your whole deck if you want to. And then number 8, we have Ramos Dragon Engine. I would say maybe not as flexible as Gengatha, but as a commander option, Ramos has been pretty powerful. Also pretty good for dragon decks, +1/+1 counter decks even. Has fallen off quite a bit though. I'm not gonna lie, there was this short period of time where Ramos was considered one of the best commanders in the format. And while he's still pretty powerful, that doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. Still good though, I love the mana production, and even if you don't, you just have a way to deal commander damage pretty easily. And then number 7 is Sliver Overlord. Now, there might be some Slivers that are more expensive, that are harder to get, such as Sliver Queen, who's on the reserve list, and Sliver Legion. But Sliver Overlord to me is the best Sliver, because you get a tutor on an activated ability. This is also pretty easy to combo with. Certain strategies you can just pretty much play your whole deck. You can also have even more fun if you find a way to turn your opponent's creatures into Slivers, because you also have an activated ability where you can take them. As far as tribes go in 5 colors, there's no doubt in my mind, Slivers have been and will continue to be the most powerful. And then number 6, speaking of tribes, we have Morophon the Boundless. Easily one of the most flexible cards on this whole list, even if Morophon's abilities are nothing super powerful. Pick a tribe, any tribe, or you can have a deck where all you're playing is tribal specific, so you can include tribal support for wizards, you can include tribal support for tree folk, giants, whatever it is, and simultaneously benefit from all of them. The strategy is pretty simple, just play nothing but changelings so that whenever you do play something that's more specific to one tribe, you get to benefit from it entirely. If that's not enough, you also get some good cost reduction. And because that cost reduction uses all 5 symbols, Morophon will make a pretty good 5 color commander option. Oh, and you also get +1/+1 for all creatures of the chosen type. So, just a little bit extra. And then number 5 is Niv Misit Reborn. I love Niv Misit Reborn. I think Niv Misit Reborn, as an ETB, has probably one of the better ones in the whole game. Your deck doesn't even have to be super tailored to 2 color cards in each combination, but if it is, you will easily get a ton of cards in your hand each ETB. You reveal the top 10 cards of your library, that's insane, 10. And for each color pair, you get one of those cards added to your hand. Shares absolutely nothing in common with the other Niv Misits other than the name and the dragon type, but who really cares? The ability is insane, making it so good if you want to throw it in as one of the 99. It can really help fill your hand, which in 5 colors that might be harder to accomplish. And then number 4, we have Sise, Weatherlight Captain. Now, tutoring is pretty powerful. Cheating something into play, when all it really has to be is a legendary permanent, is flat out ridiculous. Sise, also like Morophon, also has the 5 different mana symbols in her cost, so she makes a pretty good option for 5-color decks. Sise is fantastic because you can pretty much search up every other card on this list, and then take advantage of them. The only real condition here is that permanent has to have a converted mana cost less than her power, which in a 5-color deck shouldn't really be too difficult to accomplish. There are also equipments that can make her power and toughness a lot higher, effectively allowing you to tutor up anything. Overall, tutoring has been a pretty powerful thing in Commander, and it will continue to be one of the things that you look to do in a game of Commander just for consistency's sake. Sise is just so good. And then number 3, we have something you could argue is even more powerful than Sise, the new card Asika, God of the Tree. Early on for 3 mana, you get a mana dork. That pretty much makes it so that all of your other legendary creatures tap for 1 mana of any color. That alone is pretty good. It's not immediately better than Sise, although it's a decent setup. The flip side, however, is the Prismatic Bridge. This is where you get the 5-color color identity. At the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card, put that card onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's guaranteed to get you something. It's not going to whiff. There are so many abilities like this that are just going to whiff, where you just don't get anything at all. This guarantees that you will get a creature or planeswalker, so you can make your deck as powerful as you want it to be. You get to decide how ridiculous this ability is. If you want to play Super Friends, well, at the beginning of your upkeep, you pretty much are guaranteed to get one. Tutoring things, searching them up, putting them into play is always good. This just puts that stuff into play for free. And then number 2, we have Kenrith, the Returned King. Just a Swiss Army knife on a commander option. I mean, Kenrith is ridiculous. There are so many directions that you can take this deck in. Similarly to Morophon, you have a very flexible option, but Kenrith, you can go with any of these abilities. And while some are obviously going to be better than others, you have a haste enabler on a commander, you have a +1/+1 counter enabler, which combos a lot more easily than you would expect. You of course can gain life whenever you feel like it, and you have card draw. You can also reanimate creatures, which is the most expensive ability, but it's probably the best. Suffice it to say, if you get infinite mana, you are probably going to win. If your commander is a mana sink, you're definitely going to win. I mean, even that second ability and the first one combined means you're probably going to be able to deal commander damage at the very least, in addition to just killing off everyone else. Incredibly versatile. Again, very similar to the other cards, it has a color identity of 5 colors because you have 1 of each mana symbol in the costs. And like a versatile card, it doesn't have to be your commander option, but it's probably best if he is. And before I go on to number 1, let's talk about some honorable mentions here. We have one of my personal favorites, Corona False God. Maybe not that powerful, but one of my favorite things in Commander is just chaos and having a good time, so pass her around to your opponent, see what they do. We have Maelstrom Nexus, which is a good card, but I don't think it's anywhere near as powerful as anything on this list. You do get Cascade, but you get it once a turn. It's the first spell you cast, so it's not necessarily something you can abuse. We have the Reaper King, which I love the Reaper King. I wish we had some kind of Scarecrow support. We really need it just to make this guy a lot better. Horde of Notions is also pretty good tribal support for elementals, but I think all tribal support kind of pales in comparison to the Slivers. And then we have Progenitus. Progenitus, for a long time, was like the go-to 5-color commander because once you get Progenitus out there, you have an unstoppable commander. You have a way to easily deal commander damage and just block everything. So number 1 is Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. I know it's incredibly simple. The ability, you just get whatever land you want. It comes into play tapped. Very similar to Solemn Simulacrum in that way. It's just simple land ramp. It's not anything to really get too excited about until you realize that can search for pretty much any land. So you can search for the best lands, you can search for situational lands, you can search for things like Bajuka Bog and Strip Mine. And oh yeah, similar to Kenrith, if you're ever in the position where you have a ton of excess mana, or even infinite mana, Golos is pretty much a win. Maybe not by himself, He's the strongest commander on this list, but when you consider all of the strategies that instantly benefit from Golos, he's the most flexible all around. You can throw him into whatever deck and he works. Land tutoring is always going to be beneficial. It's going to just help you play your game. It could be something as simple as searching for a command tower, and your game's going to be a lot better. But anyway, let me know what you think about the top 10 best 5-color commanders in the format. I really want to hear your guys' opinion about this. Probably going to colorless next. But yeah, it's been quite a journey here going over monocolor and then 2-color and then 3-color and now 5. Just a lot of videos I had to make there. But I hope you enjoyed them. Anyway, Void here signing off. See you all next time.